Yeah, today we are going to discuss about the availability check, TOR and MRP. So availability check, TOR, MRP are the SD, MM, FI, PP, QM and CO integration part, where all these modules are involved internally so that the availability check complete process will be determined in the system. Otherwise, it is not that much easier to create complete settings by the SD consultant. So what exactly the availability check means, why we require availability check. For example, whenever the end user enters any material, the customer ordered material, in the back end, the system checks whether this particular ordered material is available or not as per the customer's requested delivery date and whether we are able to ship or not. Suppose if the product is available, then when it is going to be available. So today is 24th July. Then suppose if it is available for today, then it will calculate some of the calculations like um, shipping, picking, packing, and then shipment route. So transportation. So all these parameters it will consider, and then followed by it will determine one confirmation date. Then it will create the order. Normally, this is the normal process. But however, in in some of the cases where there is no product is available, then what happens? The next availability date must be determined by the system. Then only we can confirm that the customer, yes, we are going to give you this product on this particular so and so date, and whatever the quantity you have requested. So that is what which is going to happen in real time. So how it happens, and what is the TOR and what is MRP? So MRP is nothing but materials requirement planning, and TOR is nothing but transfer of the requirements. So transfer of the requirements means the moment customer has placed the order and the moment end user enters the material, if the product is available, then okay, it will determine the date and quantity. If the product is not available, the quantities are sufficient quantities are not available, then uh, the transfer of requirements with the help of TOR indicator. I'll show you where exactly these settings has to be done. This TOR indicator, because of this TOR indicator activation, the information line item information will be transferred to MRP. So with the help of TOR indicator, the requirements will be transferred to MRP. How it is going to be, we will see. So availability check is the based on the material availability date, MAD. So the material availability date, if the material availability date is met, then the system follows the backward scheduling. If the material availability date is not met, then the system follows the forward scheduling. And for all this entire availability check process, the schedule lines are the base for the availability check process. Without schedule lines, the second part of the schedule lines, uh, we have seen the controls of schedule line category, where the upper part as well as the lower part is the major criteria, where the upper part is for the external procurement and lower part is the internal procurement that we have seen. Suppose if the schedule lines are not maintained or that the lower part is not activated, then availability check process cannot be processed. So now I'll give you an example here. Availability check, that means material availability date. Suppose the customer ordered on um, customer ordered on 24th today, 24/07/2002. Then the product should be available. The material should be available by today. Then the system calculates the picking and picking 2 days, packing 2 days or 1 day, and transit time. It is like 2 to 3 days. So totally it should be 7 days. And then 24 plus 7, 31st. Order confirmation 31st July. So this is how the system calculates when the material availability date is met. When the material availability date is on 24th July, then by considering 2 days pick pack time and picking time 2 days, 1 day packing time, and transit time 2 to 3 days. So totally 3 plus 3 6, and shipment process or loading time and all it will consider, and then it will calculate about 7 days. So in this scenario, so you can see here picking, packing, and loading, for example, transit. So this is 2 days, 2 days, loading 1 day, 5 days, and transit time 2 days. Total 7 days. So then what is happening here when it is calculating right from the availability date, backward scheduling. That means the material is available on 24th July, then it is calculating 7 days. So 31 July minus 2 days of transit time, it is going to be 29th July. 29th July, it will be loaded, and then again minus 2 days, that is packing 2 days, that is 27th July, and then minus 2 days, 24th July, the product is available. So it will come as a backward. That is why we are calling it as backward scheduling. It is called as backward scheduling. When the material availability date is met, when the availability date is met, then it follows the backward scheduling. If the material availability date is not met, then the system follows the forward scheduling. Suppose if the material is available on 25th or 26th July, then plus 2 days, it will add up. Since it is not available on the same day, it will add up 2 plus 2 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7 days. So 29th plus 7 days, that are almost 6th August, the system will consider. That is called forward scheduling. So 99.9% in SAP, we will be using based on the backward scheduling only, the availability check process almost works. So this is the availability check process. So what exactly the availability check is that we are going to see. So and the TOR indicator, transfer of requirements. Suppose a customer has ordered 100 units, order one. So the product we will which one we will consider, one whiteboard marker, that is blue color. So he has placed an order for 100 units, and since we have selected the option called individual requirements, there are two options in TOR indicator and availability check. So if you select the individual requirements, then that first the stock is not available, then it will talk to the MRP, and then it will send that 100 quantity to the MRP. That means individual transference of demand. So the similar way, again 100 units you will place, then again it will transfer. Then right from the beginning, they have to start manufacturing the product. And again, the same day, one more 100 units placed. So it is waste of time. So right from the beginning, he has to start from the scratch to manufacture 100 units again and again, again and again. So that means every time the individual requirements will be transferred to MRP every time. That is it. That is accepted only like the products like generators or any other very big products. So those products, then yes, individual requirements are enough. Gensets and all in one quantity is enough. Whereas this kind of order, frequently we are selling this product and huge quantity we are selling. So if you do it every time, if you each and every time you send this 100 units quantity requirement to MRP, that is the manufacturing cost will be increased. That is not the good practice. Hence, we have to use this called collective requirements, the second option. So during this collective requirements, it will calculate all these three in a day. It will The system will wait. When the product is not available, we will wait for that particular day, and then how many orders we have received for that particular product. If if the quantity is huge, around 2000 quantities we have to manufacture, then all these quantities will be transferred to MRP. That is called collective transference of demand to materials requirement planning. So in this scenario, we can achieve our whatever the goal we have aimed at. So transfer of TOR indicator is very, very important. Individual requirements and the TOR indicator always based on the individual as well as the collective requirements. Some some areas we require individual requirements. Some of the areas we require collective requirements. So apart from the material availability date, we also have to activate the availability check process in the material master data. So unless and until that particular material, see, it is based on the material only, always. The word MAD is nothing but material availability date, means material only. If that particular material is not relevant for availability check, then no need to follow the availability check process. So availability check is always based on material availability date, and then we have to activate the availability check process, whether it is individual requirements or collective requirements. This option must be checked in the material master data. So these settings where we do, I'll tell you. Availability check in schedule line category, our CP deterministic MRP requirement class level. At two levels, we will do this availability check. Okay, so whether it is active or not in schedule line category, it must be active at requirement class level. And TOR indicator also, whether it is active or inactive in schedule line category, it must be active in requirement class level. I'll show you in the system what are the settings required. Product allocation, whether it is active or not active, then the requirement class level is, it should be active. This is the one which we are going to settings we are going to see in the system. Apart from this, one interview question. So this is the very, very important, like how the requirement type in the sales order will be determined. How the requirement types in the sales order will be determined. So it is based on the strategy group from MRP3 view of the material master data. Number two, MRP group from the MRP1 view of the material master data. Material type based on the material type, FERT or HAWA, and schedule and category, that is item category plus MRP type is equal to schedule and category. And the fifth one is item category. This is the when the availability check process comes, this is the first question, and how the availability check will be determined. So that one is like based on the material availability date. Then they will ask you, the immediate question is, what is meant by backward scheduling and forward scheduling? You have to tell them, if the product is available on the same date, then the system follows the backward scheduling. If the material is not available for the same day, then the system follows the forward scheduling. Then you have to provide them the example. Suppose you are attending the interview on 5th August, then you have to consider that day 5 plus 7, 12. So by 12th, the product should be available. So then that means the material should be available by when the customer places an order on 5th August, then the product should be available on that same day. Then it will calculate 12 minus transit 2 plus minus 1, minus 2 and minus 2. Like that, you have to calculate backward scheduling. And this example, you have to explain to the interviewer. Please remember, so this is very, very important concept in SAP. And see, no one is 100% perfect, especially in this subject, in the availability check process, because you have to learn you have to learn FICO, you have to learn PPQM and all. So, but SD perspective, the concept and the theory part, which you have to understand, and then which you have to remember, you should be in a position to explain to the interviewer. So this is the second question, interview question. After this availability check process, the requirement type. how the requirement type will be determined into the sales order. So these are all the 5 parameters which you have to explain without any issues. Now let me go to the material. Just let me just explain you all this for about this. So MRP availability check at TOR. During the creation of sales order, a line item in sales order creates a schedule line that we know. This schedule line represents the customer's requested delivery date and the quantities to be confirmed or delivered. This information is transferred to MRP, materials requirements planning, and then MRP then will be able to determine the quantity based on the stock availability for the scheduled delivery date. The TOR is closely integrated with MRP and and PP. That is why the configuration of MRP should be done by the respective teams. Here, to carry out availability check, the TOR and availability check indicators must be checked at schedule and category level and requirement class level. So make sure that these availability check TOR and production allocation indicators must be active. Try to be active at both the levels. 99.9% it is active at schedule and category level as well as requirement class level also. Checking rule, it is not a control of availability, it is a control of availability check, and it is assigned to MRP3V of the material master data. So the same thing, whatever I have explained here, individual requirements, individual transference of demand to MRP to each schedule line, for each schedule line. Collector requirements are nothing but collecting the requirements either daily or weekly basis and transferring them to MRP. So here, the requirement class, it is used for requirement strategy planning and requirements consumption planning. So whatever I have written, just like that, you just by heart it, nothing to worry. Over a period of time, you will be able to understand. Requirements class is the control factor of the TOR and availability check, because we always activate the availability check TOR and product allocation at requirement class level. Requirement class is assigned to requirement type. Okay, fine. Requirement type is a 2-digit alphanumeric key to describe the characteristics of the requirement class and its features. Requirement class can be assigned to a requirement type only. Now, whatever the question, interview question is there, this is the one here. Requirement type is determined based on the following factors, or how the requirement type flows into sales order. So this is the question. So I have written in this way, in a simple way. But now what is the theory part? This is the one which you have to, if you remember that part, if you can elaborate this one and then explain the interviewer very easily. First, the system checks the strategy group in material master, MRP3 view. And then if the strategy group is not found, then the system checks the MRP group in the MRP1 view of the material master data. If the MRP group is also not maintained, then the system uses the material type. You know material type, how the material type will be determined. If the above 3 options are not met, then the system uses the schedule and category. The schedule and category is nothing but item category plus MRP type. Suppose even if it is also failed, if the system does not find the schedule and category, then it makes last attempt to determine requirements type using the item category, that is TAM. Suppose if that is also not found, or that attempt got failed, then if this last attempt also fails, then the system declares that the particular transaction is not relevant for availability check or transfer of requirements. So please remember, this is the very important and damn sure interview question. And not only the interview question, the moment you enter into the job. So this question definitely after some time your colleagues might be asking you. Definitely they will ask you this question, how the requirement type is determined, or how the requirement type will be flown to the sales order. So what here it says, the system first it is checking for the strategy group in the material master MRP3 view. It is not there. Then it will go and check the MRP group in the MRP1 view of the material master data. Even if it is not there, then it will use the material type, whether it is a HAWA or trading goods, finished products, FERT or HAWA. Even if it is not found, then the system uses the schedule and category. Even the schedule and category is not found, then the system uses the directly item category. Suppose all these attempts are failed, then it is not relevant for the availability check or the transfer of requirements. So the examples of how the requirement types flows into a sales order. I have shown you already while creating the material master data. If the MRP type as ND, if you maintain the MRP type as ND in the material master data, then the system will flow it into the requirement class as TAN plus ND is equal to 011. This is the requirement class or requirement type. And then if you maintain MRP type as PD, the deterministic MRP in the material master data MRP1 view, that means the material is relevant for procurement and the requirement type is determined by the item category plus MRP type. TAN plus PD is equal to 041. Please remember, this is the one which you have to explain to the interviewer. Very simple. It's not that much typical if you understand it easily. Let us go to SAP. Before going to that one, or sales order. Two 0774. See, procurement. Here you can see the requirement type is 011. So this 011 has been determined by the system based on the MRP type ND plus the item category TAN. It is equal to 011. See, if the MRP type, if the material master data, in the material master data MRP1 view, if the material type is ND, no planning, then it will determine as a 11. If it is PD, it will determine as a 41. So it is based on the material master data. So this is the requirement type. This requirement type will be based on all these 5 parameters. The strategy group, MRP type, everything. If all those things are not maintained, then this is not relevant for the availability check process. So now I'll go to the material. So here under the sales general plan view, availability check is there. So it is daily requirement. 01 is nothing but daily requirements. That means we are choosing the complete till the end of the day. We will wait till the end of the day, and then we will start producing the material. If it is individual requirement 02, then we cannot. We have to process them whenever, as and when you get the order. You have to start the manufacturing for this particular order. So here daily requirements is 01 and individual requirement is 02. If this availability check is blank, then this particular material is not relevant for the availability check process. So this is the one thing. And MRP1. So here MRP type is there, ND. So if it is ND, no planning means requirement type will be determined as 11. If it is PD, the requirement type will be determined as a 41. That is the thing which we already discussed. See here, suppose MRP3 view first. Here the strategy group is empty. If the strategy group is empty, then what the system does? it will go to MRP1, and then checks for the MRP group. Here also it is blank. Then it will try to determine the availability check process, the requirement type, using the schedule and category. That is MRP type plus item category. That is equal to schedule and category. Even if it is failed, then it will go to the material type. So our material type is FERT, finished product. It is already there. So material, based on the material type, it will determine. Even if it is failed, the material type is not there. It is an example. Just assume. Then it will go to the item category. That is our standard item category. Even the standard item category also does not maintain. Then this particular transaction is not relevant for the availability check process. So it is mainly it is rotating or revolving around these three: MRP3, MRP1 view, and then item category. So this is the one which I wanted to show you. So this requirement type 011, so will be determined based on the item category plus see item category plus MRP type. Suppose item category is TAN plus MRP type is suppose item category TAN, MRP type is ND, no planning. It is 011. And if it is item category TAN plus PD, then it is 041. So this is how the system will automatically propose. First, it is checking for the strategy group and then MRP group, then material type, then schedule and category, then item category. So how the requirement type will be determined in the sales order. I'm just simplifying it. Strategy group, MRP group, material type, schedule line category, item category. This is simple. This is very, very simple. Further, I have made it as simplified it. So next, SAP reference IMG. This is completely PPQM settings, sales and distribution. Under basic functions, here availability check and transfer of requirements. So we have first we'll go to the transfer of requirements. Here the define requirement classes. And let me go to the schedule and category. See, I was talking about the schedule and category. So this schedule and category is the base. The below part should be always active. Even if it is not active here, it should be active in the requirement classes. So here you can see the requirement class 011 available to check is activated and requirement transfer of requirements also activated. Product allocation not activated. Fine. So in 041 it is delivery related. So where it is product allocation also activated. So let me go to the details button here. Here we are not going to do anything. Okay. So this is the complete the call of PPQM people. So we are not going to do anything here. But however, you must know these two indicators must be activated. So 041, it is the order as well as the delivery requirement. So availability check, requirement transfer, and then product allocation. So these three parameters have been checked here, even if it is not checked in the schedule and category. How to yeah. So this is the schedule and category, and this is the requirement class. Suppose if the requirement class for the availability check process, if these three indicators, the lower part of the schedule and category are not activated, but it should be activated here, then only that particular transaction is relevant for availability check. If any of these two are missing out, then definitely this particular transaction is not relevant for availability check. So that means these three indicators must be active always in the requirement class level, even if they are not activated at the schedule and category level. That is why I have compared these two screens at a time. You must know the settings, that's it. So define requirement types. Here for 011, 011 only, 041, 041, like our listing and exclusion, how we do that, the same way we will be doing it here. Using the transaction, just press execute. So we go to the item category TAN, MRP type is, for example, ND. So based on this transaction, if it is ND, the system follows the 011 delivery requirement. If it is TAN plus PD, that is schedule and category plus PD, item category plus PD is equal to schedule and category, then the system determines 041. What I do, I will change it to PD. Just whatever I'm doing, just you also do the same thing. In-house production, 10 days. So now let me try to create a sales order. See here, the requirement class is, requirement type is determined based on the schedule and category, where the item category is TAN and the schedule and that is MRP type is PD, the deterministic MRP. So now 041 has come. In the previous order, it is like It was ND. It has supposed. It has proposed 011. See, here the requirement type is 011 when the MRP type is ND, that is no planning. Here the requirement type is 041 when the MRP type is PD, deterministic MR. So this is how the system will automatically determine in the system. So based on the settings here. So these are the settings. If this rule is not there, then it will not work. So this is how. Next step is define procedure. It's not required. Maintain requirements. Okay, just I will go everything. Okay, schedule and category I have already opened. So CP deterministic MRP here. See, available to check requirement class and allocation, which is already checked in this requirement class. So this is the at schedule and category level we control here. Not required. Maintain requirements for transfer of requirements. This is also not required. Purchase and assembly. This is also not required for you as of now. And then after the transfer of requirements, we will see the availability check. So availability check, define checking groups, define material block for other groups and all. Everything done by the PPQM people. So checking group and all. So just we will see daily requirements. It is always daily and individual requirements. So this option we have seen in the material master data. So what is meant by B? Total sales. Total records per day. It will calculate total records per day. And same total records per day. If it is A, single record. So every time it will transfer this to MRP. So that should not be the correct case. So one by one we will see what is material block for others. So if at all you wanted to block it, so this is not required for us right now. Define checking groups default value. So for the material type, FERT, the plant. So we have FERT and our DABC is the plant. So this is individual requirements 02 finished product. So it is not there. Sorry. So what we have to do, we have to copy FERT ZABC 01. Save it. Carry out control for availability check. So this is the description control checking rule. So daily requirement 01 and then checking rule is 01. So like that, whatever the checking rule based on the orders. So for us, it is like a SD order. Always it is like SD order and sometimes it is SD delivery. Requirement class. So 011 is delivery requirement and then 041 is the order plus delivery requirement. These two we have seen in the transfer of requirement screen. Define procedure for each schedule and category. So again, same. Here also the same settings, whatever the TOR indicator settings are there, the same settings are there. Each delivery item category. So delivery item category is TAN. For that also, it is, we have discussed about the delivery. If it is not, if it is blank, then it is relevant for availability check process. That we have discussed in the when we have discussed about the delivery item category controls. I think you all remember this one. You want me to show you /OOVLP. Okay. Delivery item categories, TAN. So during that time, I have explained you clearly. See, if the availability check is blank here, then it is relevant for the availability check process. Otherwise, it is not relevant for the availability check process. So do not check availability X, and here Y do not check availability. So if it is leave it as blank, then if this particular item category is relevant for availability check. So here it is blank. So leave it as a blank only. Checking rule for updating back orders. So this is not required. Define default settings. This is also not required. So as usual, it is leave it simple. And availability check against product allocation. This is also not required for us right now. And then whenever the product stock is not available or the sales order is created. Yes, let me go to sales order. It is there, no? How many quantity? So 20823. Now this can be seen in the MD04 materials, what you call stock requirements list. So in this, you have to specify the material. MRP area is our plant, and ZABC is your plant. So press enter. Here you can see available quantity is 797 right now. Okay, and whatever the that is today's date. For today's date, it is the stock is available 797. So automatically, if the stock is not there, then it will be sent to the requirements. So like this, it will come the receipt or requirement. So this much we have received, and then we have delivered them, and then the available quantity is this much. So 797. Suppose let me go to VA03. So we have to remove the credit block. So this is having credit block, no? So let me show you. Let me try to create the delivery. What happens, we will see. So this order blocked for delivery as a result of credit block. So let me release the credit block using the transaction code VKM3. Just, we all know, we have seen the credit management. Now go to VA03, deliver. So so delivery I have created /VF01. So delivery and invoice also done. Let us see the materials requirement planning. So 10 units reduced. Available quantity is now 787. So as of now, the quantity available is 787. Suppose if you, what you call, if you, if the stock is not available here totally, then whatever the orders you send, whatever the orders you create, that will be accumulated here. So this has to be what you call produced. So everything will be accumulated and then added up, and then it will start preparing the manufacturing that particular product. So this is the MD04 stock requirements list. Stock or the requirements list. If you scroll down, our sales order specific also we have created MTO. See here it is like delivery specific. So 011. All are 011 only. Here you can see unrestricted use is 787. This much if you understand, this is more than enough, and more we have to explain them like this strategy group and then MRP group. So this part, how the requirement type or how the requirement class will be determined into the system, that you have to explain them in a clear way, clear cut way, step by step process. And then followed by one more entry question, because this is related to availability check process. So delivery scheduling, how the delivery scheduling will be activated. The delivery scheduling will be activated based on the pick pack time of the shipping point, loading time of the shipping point, replenishment lead time of the material master data, MRP3 view, okay, and the transit time from the route and transportation lead time from the route. So I told you I'll come back to the shipping point one day. So during the even route determination I have shown you, but however, let me go to SPRO. Under logistics execution, define shipping point. See here, determine loading time 1 day, and this schedule and delivery category there, no, enter a valid value. Route dependent, and here I'll give rounding working days. So that means the pick pack time and loading time will be calculated from the route, that is 2 days, for example. This one will be considered. So based on this one first, and then whatever the route which we have defined, in that route, I have shown you already in that route also, where the transit time and transportation lead time, which we have maintained. That is also one of the key factors. And replenishment time, material master data. So let me go to the material master data. So MRP1 view, sorry. Yeah. Yes, total replenishment lead time. So whatever the replenishment lead time you specify here in the material master data MRP3 view, it will calculate accordingly. That means that particular product will be manufactured within those many days. This particular material, whatever we are maintaining here, will be manufactured, but from the date of sales order received till this day. How many days it is required? That will be. So this is the one. Transit time and transportation lead time will be route. So what was our route? Let me go to ZABC01 is our route. basic functions, routes, define routes, and define routes and stages. So this is our route here, which is relevant for transportation, transit time, and transportation lead time. These two parameters, and then the pick pack time and loading time of the shipping point, transit time and transportation lead time from the route, and then replenishment lead time from the shipping material master data MRP3 view. All these five parameters describe the delivery scheduling. Delivery scheduling will be activated by sales document types. Let me go to just a minute. Yes, delivery scheduling and transportation scheduling. So these two will be activated by the sales document type. So we have to double click on this. See here, our sales document type is standard order, for example, OR. See, it is delivery scheduling is activated here, X. Shipping scheduling on. If it is blank shipping, there is no scheduling. A, shipping scheduling delivery order without loading time. So we won't use that one. We use always X. And then transportation scheduling, yes. These two, even it is, since we have copied from OR, the same details have been copied to our ZDAB1, sales document type. So these two are the standard processes which we must know. Delivery scheduling and define scheduling by shipping point. It is, we have already, I have opened the shipping point there. So ZABC, the same screen here, the route, whatever I have maintained there, the same has been reflected over here. Even whatever I maintain here, the same will be reflected over there in the shipping point here. Where is that one? I think this is the shipping point. Suppose now whatever you wanted to do it, you can do it here. Rounding working days and all. Here also you can maintain in the shipping point. This same will be reflected in the definition of the shipping point. Maintain working hours, maintain duration, everything we can do that. So this is the simple way of explanation. And 20823. Let me go to the sales order. Final touch. So procurement here, it is 41. And then because of the schedule and category plus MRP type, item category plus MRP type is equal to requirement type. So here the MRP type is TAN plus PD. So that's why the system has determined 041 as requirement type. If it is item category plus ND, that is MRP type, then it will be 011 based on those settings. So Just let me revise it. So availability check, how it starts? It starts from the based on the material availability date. If the material availability date is met, then the system follows backward scheduling. If the material availability date is not met, the system follows the forward scheduling. So backward scheduling means the current date plus 7 days. If you take it as an example, then the system considers the confirmation date. That is, today is 24th and 31st is the 31st July is the delivery date. Then what happens? It will calculate reversal in the backwards, like transit. It will take 2 days. 31 minus 2, 29. 29 minus 1, like that. It will calculate backwards. So it will be available. If the material availability date is on 26th or 27th of July, then it will follow the 7 days. That is forward scheduling. That is the one thing. How the requirement type will be determined into the sales order. This is an interview question. The system first checks the strategy group in MRP3 view of the material master data. If it is not found, it will go to MRP group, MRP1 view. Even if it is not found, it will go to MRP type, material type. Or it will, if it is not found, then it will go to schedule and category. Even if it is not found, then it will go to the item category and then determine it as a requirement type. If it is not found, then that particular transaction is not relevant for the availability check or TOR. So TOR is nothing but transfer of requirements. So we can transfer the each and every sales document line item information to MRP whenever that particular material is not available, so that the MRP team will start procuring the material and then producing the material, manufacturing that particular material. So collective requirements are nothing but collective transference of the demand. So we will collect all the orders in a day or in a week and then transferring them to MRP so that they will manufacture it accordingly.